You mentioned a lot of things. Let's take it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, shout out to Workington. Speaking of entrepreneurship, Workington gives workspace for those who are entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
So this would be a great. You know, gotta give a shameless plug, man. Gotta give a shameless. Gotta give a plug. You know what I'm saying? Gotta
sprinkle that in.
You know what I'm saying? But anyways, going back to what you said, you mentioned a lot of things, and I know you. The audience doesn't know you. Okay. So let's take it back a little bit in the sense that you're a kid. Similar to us, you're caught in two cultures. You know what I'm saying? You're Sudanese, but you grew up here.
Yeah.
But you have an American accent. So there's so many things that people don't understand. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your upbringings that made Mody who Mody is. You know what I'm saying? And let's dive deeper and peel the onion layer by layer to what made you have the gonads to take these risks. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know, the gonads, those that have the balls, basically. You know what I'm saying? So what made you take the risks? So we have to get to who you are. But in order to know who you are now, let's go back to the past.
Okay.
And you're a person caught in two cultures. You know.
100%.
So let's talk about your upbringings, your schooling.
Foundation.
The foundation.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? The foundation.
Yeah.
You know.
So growing up, man, we came to Doha back in 1993.
Pre boom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had like one road.
Yeah.
One hotel.
Pretty much.
Sheraton.
That's
it.
That was it?
Literally. Yeah.
Sheraton was
Just the Sheraton at the time.
Yeah, at the time, man.
Yeah.
You had the old school clock tower in front of the Parliament.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's all you had.
Very basic, very small town vibes. Very like.
Listen, like a village, man. Probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was like I don't have the greatest memory, to be frank, but like as far as I can remember, man, we moved here from Sudan. I was born back home in Sudan in Halfa. Came here in 1993. My dad had already been here a year prior. Being, like...
Sorry, cut you off. What made your pops choose Doha first, though, rather than the UAE?
So he used to be in the UAE, actually. Yeah, he was... that's where all of my siblings were born. They were born in Abu Dhabi. So my dad spent a good amount of his time over there. And then we all moved back to Sudan, and then he moved here. Obviously, job opportunities.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So he came here in 1993, and then he came here in 1992, and then we followed in 1993. Just for him, obviously being, like a foreigner, he had to come here, set up everything, all of that, and then we follow. So we came here, and it's just been a very interesting journey being mixed with all these different cultures in a country that is very small, and then constantly introducing new cultures. And we were talking about that earlier, me and you, where I was telling you how when someone from Sudan and someone from Jordan, Palestine, Somal, everyone meets in Qatar, and then they create their own little culture. So the schools that we went to, the type of hangouts that we had, all of that, just a mixture of like the Qatari culture and our cultures that we brought from home, not from our home countries, because most of us were young, we barely even know our hometowns, kind of thing. So it was just a very interesting dynamic, man. To say the least, it just teaches you how to manage in every room, literally. Like, you can sit down with the Palestinians and chop it up. You can sit down with the Lebanese guy, chop it up. The American guys, and chop it up. The the Africans, everyone, because you're just like in a melting pot of different cultures. So it was a very it teaches you a lot, man. Qatar, honestly, mashallah, like one of the it has this thing about it where every time you leave, you just want to okay. So to me, this is home. Now, that's very conflicting, right? Because obviously I'm not from here. And I'm also just like every other foreigner, I have to renew my visa. I could be let go at any time. There's so many different, this is just conflicting as someone. And you get to know that, unfortunately, as you grow older.
Correct.
Oh, this is not home. You know what I mean? And then you go back home, and then you're also like, this is not home. And then, so it's a lot of emotions, man. It's a lot of, but I guess, you got to make the best out of it. So, but yeah.
So how do you deal with that identity when you have laid your roots down and you still have it in your home, right? You're still Sudanese in your home, outside, but here it's a different place, different culture. You have an alchemy of different things you're bringing from cultures, from your friends, your background, while you're here. How do you define home in that sense? How do you have comfort in where you are as an expat?
Man, that's a tough question.
You know, they say home is where the heart is, bro.
Yeah, I believe that.
Home is home.
I believe that.
Home is where the heart is.
Listen, brother.
Or home is
honestly,
where your wife is.
This is cliche.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not married. This is very. You're adding more conflict.
I'm joking.
Let this man answer the question, man.
I really can't answer that.
My bad.
You jumping the gun.
My bad.
Oh man. But no, honestly, as cliche as it is, home is where the heart is, right? And you grow up here and like, you stay here for too long, right? And then you start feeling it, like the safety of it, all of these, like, you don't have to walk around looking over your shoulders the whole time. Where back home in Sudan, it's always like constant like fights. Not in the sense of like it's not very safe. It's safe somewhat, but still like you don't know your in and outs basically. So you're constantly like on your feet. So in Qatar, I feel like, you know, it's safe zone. So to me, whether, you know, like the rules allow it or not, it's still going to be home because that's just how I feel inside, right? So it's always going to be like if I'm traveling and I miss home, I miss Qatar, you know what I mean? Or like always going to be, there's always going to be that connection. Even if I was to like leave for good, this is still going to be like the country that I call home because grew up here, family mostly here. Best friends, childhood friends are here. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be that connection between, yeah.
You know what they say? So I always talk to Hamza about this, right? As much as I say I'm Somali, in the back of my mind and my thought process is very Western. So we're being a kid of two cultures. The place where you spend the most time in and where you grew up is how you think. So for you, your whole life you've been here, and then bits and bobs you go back to Sudan and you taste it for a month or two max, but most of the time your mind is Qatari. You think Qatari. You know what I'm saying? In the sense, the culture you have, obviously by blood you are Sudani. But Qatar has basically navigated your life. You know, 100%. And you're more Qatari than you are Sudani if you think about it.
I would say, again, that goes back into that little culture that we created, you know what I mean? So it's like a mixture of Khaliji culture with like foreigners' cultures. It's just that's a lot, man. And then it brings out this personality that can just manage in life, honestly. Yes, you can. Yeah. And then obviously the more you educate yourself about other cultures, the more you can, and that you can do wherever you are, like you live, honestly. Like if you educate yourself enough to be able to like be in any room, that's just like self-teaching. You can just like teach yourself how to like, you know, chop it up with like a different culture here and there, like Western culture or African culture, or you know what I mean? But something about Qatar, because of the dynamic it has, it forces you to like mix with these cultures. You have to, like, if you go to the supermarket, you're dealing with a specific culture. If you go to the hospital, different culture. If you go to, you know, the gym, different culture. And now, speaking of like 2025, it's completely different cultures. So back then the cultures were more like you know, the Afro Arabs, the Middle Easterns are all in here. Now it's all the Eastern Europeans, all the Americans, the Canadians, you know what I mean?
You have your usual suspects, and then now you have new players. So you have North Americans, you have Europeans, you have Asians, South Asians, what's it called, mixing in this melting pot now.
Yes, 100%.
And also, they're also producing generations of mixed nationalities, mixed ethnicities. As well.
Bro, the other day, I was playing basketball with some friends, right? And then this one kid from the Philippines, great hooper. as we're playing, I'm noticing that this kid is dropping like Arabic words, and then I go to him like, "Hey man, do you speak Arabic or something?" He full on had a full conversation in Arabic.
Straight.
Full conversation. Why? Because he grew up with these kids that, you know what I mean? Yeah, and he just picked up the whole language though. The whole language with that accent. You know what I mean? Not a mixed kid. Full on from the Philippines. Speaks.
His environment played a role.
So it's the same thing when like you talk about, because you were mentioning my American accent. I don't know where I picked it up from. Mostly hip hop music, probably. But probably all the Nas and Jay-Z's and all these fellas. But yeah, like you're a product of your environment, right?
Absolutely.
So maybe at the time, the American culture wasn't very exposed in Qatar, but I think my interests were more like, you know, with the hip hop, the swagger, the NBA and all of that. And then once you stop playing basketball, you just dive into it even deeper, right? Like it just I think honestly, basketball creates a personality. It's not it's a whole personality.
It's black culture.
100%.
It's two the same.
100%. You can't just pick up the sport. You gotta pick up the sport, the music, the shoes, the way you dress, the way you walk. You know what I mean?
And especially growing up in the '90s, where basketball players and rappers was synonymous. It still is, but it was heavier in the '90s and the 2000s.
Remember when like Kobe tried to rap?
Kobe, Shaq raps, Dame raps.
Dame Dollar now.
All these guys are KD raps as well. All these guys rap.
But see, back in the day, I would argue that Michael Jordan was the first exporter of the NBA globally.
Correct.
Right?
Ambassador.
The sneakers.
Yeah.
How he wore his shorts.
Yeah.
His presence. You know, no one had that type of presence and focus before, but he exported a lot of what the NBA was on a global scale. He was a perfect person, you know, to bring that out to everyone globally. So I would assume that you maybe looked at Jordan growing up, or maybe Kobe, or mostly Kobe.
My generation would,
I'm old head. I'm OG. Other podcasts.
I'm like torn between both.
You in the middle, like
I'm between because I caught Jordan's end and Kobe's beginning throughout his whole lifetime. So I literally caught Jordan when he was like dropping the fever game, all this stuff. I seen it all.
Okay.
And then
how old are you?
I'm 34.
34. Oh, yeah, we're the same age.
Yeah. So no, you're the same as well then.
Yeah, but
I thought he was like.
I thought he's younger than me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
25 or something.
I thought he's younger than me.
No, but you gotta understand when basketball came to us, right? We weren't really. We grew up watching football, soccer. Basically.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
for us,
basketball was introduced to us when we were like, what, 13, 12?
No, bro, basketball is like
so we didn't really catch Jordan like that, but we caught Wizards Jordan.
But even Wizard Jordan, bro, was still giving buckets, bro.
Yeah.
He was still scoring 58 points.
He was still 20 a game. He was doing 20 a game.
On lazy buckets.
Come on. On a casual jump buckets. Come on, man. Running.
Gym buckets. He's giving you,
Planet Fitness kind of buckets, you know?
Pickup game buckets.
You know?
I mean, if you honestly, it's still like, you got to look at the guys he was playing against.
Come on, man.
He was playing against Kobe.
He's playing Kobe, bro. He's playing like, look at the guys he's playing against. He's playing Kobe, D Wade, young LeBron as well. Al Iverson. There's still players. But you kind of lived in a cool time, or a time that's actually fascinating, because you saw Qatar pre-boom, before anything was developed, and you grew up in a time where you saw the bid, you saw the change, you saw the sports, you saw the government, and how was that? Like I'm always fascinated by, because nowadays you see these old pictures on Instagram, right? And you see Qatar before, Qatar now. UAE before, UAE now, right? So you saw it live time, 4K. You saw it. You lived through it.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because you think you and I grew up in the same place, but we didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Fair
so how was that? It's to witness that kind of, because now, bro, there's Uber, there's Talabat, there's all these things, and we're so globalized. But yet you saw a time where like you had less than me, like not less, but like in terms of like how forward we were compared to you guys, we had like a head start. But now we're the same. So how was that time?
Basically, when I believe it was like 2006 is when we started to really notice it, right? Because growing up as a kid, man, you don't really pay attention to like the infrastructure and all of that, right? But you just notice like the little things, like, oh, there's a new mall, oh, there's this. So you don't pay a lot of attention. Now, 2006 is when they started like they hosted the Asian Games.
The first one, right? Yeah. Yes.
And that's when like Aspire Academy and all of these facilities started popping up, and then out of nowhere you'll see like new areas popping up. You then move forward a few years later, and like the Pearl comes about. It was honestly a very fast-paced development, and it didn't even give us the chance to like appreciate it or even understand it. Now with that kind of development though, something changed, which was the concept of like community, right? Where back then we'd live in a neighborhood, everyone knows each other, everyone is here for long-term contracts. You know what I mean? That little concept of community where kids play outside and the kids will know each other, us as kids as well, like, you know what I mean? There was some sort of like dynamic that suddenly just disappeared when it became very fast-paced. And I think that's just the world in general. The world became very like transactional and fast-paced, and you know, you're here for a 1-year contract and then you bounce and then you go to the next country, and then, you know what I mean? So I think once Qatar dove into that, just that little concept of community went missing, replaced with all of the innovation, all of the, you know, like great buildings and great ideas and great like new cities and then new faces as well, where you get to the world is a small place still. You get to network with like so many people that are coming in and out of the country, you know what I mean? But that period of time where Qatar went from like 0 to 100 was back to back. It was just so fast paced that we didn't even like understand it, up until like, you know, we took a moment to like witness the greatness of like the World Cup, and that's when you're like, yo, we came a long way.
You have, man. Because if you think about it, man, looking based on the pictures alone,
Yeah.
you wouldn't think of Qatar. What countries take 20 years, 30 years, 40 years to develop this much, Qatar did it within 15 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And majority of the development happened from 2012 to 2022, whatever it was, right? In that 10-year span, majority of the buildings being built, they're still building buildings, and roads are still being built, but majority of the development happened within that 10-year span. And yes, you could say Qatar is a very small country and this and that, but to have that kind of development of infrastructure and policies and compliance and all these things, it's amazing. It's amazing, man.
100%. It was bound to happen, I guess, right? Like where they had a plan, they have the funds for it, and their whole goal was to also be like the sports capital of the world, basically. And once you have a vision and you have the plan and you have, you know, the funds and all of that to go with it, it's just a matter of execution, right? Now, the part that kind of sucks is that the hype died down a bit after the World Cup. Now, how do you maintain that? That's the issue, where you definitely spent. Oh, everyone can tell that you spent bucks on this project, Qatar, right? Now, how do you maintain that? How do you bring in, you know, more entertainment, more tourism, more this, more that? It's slowly happening, but you cannot be Bali, because Bali has the advantage of weather. You cannot be Dubai, because Dubai just said, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, Dubai just decided, listen, we want this lifetime. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like now as a country that has you're very conservative, which is lovely. You're yeah. Like I wouldn't want to grow up or grow once I have kids. Inshallah, you know, I don't want to. Yeah, 100%.
Amazing.
100%. Like if I was to raise a family, I want to be here. You know what I mean? Just the way we were brought up, I want it to be the same for my kids, inshallah. So you take them anywhere else, bro, it's gonna be hard for you as a parent, to say the least.